It's 3:47 in the morning. You're standing in a cornfield in Kansas staring at a body that's been here for 11 days. The local sheriff thinks it's random. You already know three things he doesn't. You know the killer is between 30 and 40 years old. You know he's done this before at least four times. And you know he lives less than 20 minutes from where you're standing right now. You haven't seen his face, you've never heard his name, but you can read him like a letter he didn't know he was writing. This is what you do. This is who you become. But to stand in this field, you had to climb every single rank, and each one took a piece of you. Let's start at the bottom. Rank 1, the recruit. You're 24 years old. You're one of 800 applicants who made it. Only 5% of people who apply to the FBI ever wear the badge. You're at the academy in Quantico, Virginia. 21 weeks, 850 hours of training, and you're failing the thing you came here for. Because you didn't come to shoot, you came to understand. While the other cadets memorize federal statutes, you're reading case files at 2 a.m. 48 of them. You're not asking who did it. You're asking why this victim, why this night, why this exact wound. Your instructors notice. One of them writes a single word on your evaluation, unusual. You don't know yet if that's a compliment, but here's what you do know. Most agents will spend their whole careers chasing bank robbers and fugitives. You want the ones nobody can catch. And to get there, you have to be invisible first. Rank 2, the field agent. You're 26. Your first field office is in Detroit, and the work is nothing like the movies. You serve warrants. You sit in cars for 11 hours eating cold food, watching a door that never opens. You close 60 cases your first year, and you remember none of them. Until case 61. A woman is found in her apartment. The detectives call it a break-in gone wrong, but you stand in the doorway and something is off. The TV is still there. The cash is still in her purse. Nothing was taken except 20 minutes of someone's time spent very carefully. You tell the lead detective the killer knew her. He laughs at you. 3 weeks later, they arrest her ex-boyfriend. You were right. And for the first time, you feel it. That cold click in your chest when the pattern locks into place. You're going to chase that feeling for the rest of your life. Rank 3, the apprentice. You're 29. You've applied to the behavioral analysis unit 4 times. 3 rejections. On the 4th, they call you. The BAU is buried 60 feet underground at Quantico. Windowless, fluorescent, cold. They call it the basement, and the men who built this place, agents like John Douglas and Robert Ressler, sat in these same rooms in the 1970s and invented an entirely new science, criminal profiling. Before them, serial killer wasn't even a phrase. They made it one. Now it's your turn. Your first month, you're handed 200 unsolved files and one rule. You are not solving murders. You are solving people. You learn that a disorganized crime scene means a disorganized mind. You learn that overkill means rage, and rage means it's personal. You learn that the way a body is left tells you more than the body itself. You're not a cop anymore. You're a translator. And the language you speak is the worst thing human beings are capable of. Rank 4, the profiler. You're 31 and you've just written your first real profile. A series of attacks across 2 counties. 5 victims, 6 months. The local task force is 40 people deep and going in circles. They give you the files on a Friday. By Monday, you hand them a single page. White male, late 20s to mid-30s, drives a clean common car, nothing flashy, holds a steady job, probably skilled labor, lives with a dominant female figure, mother or wife, returns to the scenes, will insert himself into the investigation, watch the crowds, watch for the man who's too helpful. They roll their eyes. Then, 6 weeks later, they catch him. He's a 33-year-old plumber who'd called the tip line 4 separate times pretending to help. Just like you said. But here's what nobody warns you about. To write that profile, you had to become him for 3 days. You had to think his thoughts. And those thoughts don't fully leave when the case closes. They stay. They wait. And the only way to get better is to go deeper, straight to the source. Rank 5, the interrogator. You're 34, you're sitting in a maximum security prison across a steel table from a man who murdered 11 people. This is the part of the job no one believes is real. To understand killers who are still out there, you interview the ones already caught. You drive to penitentiaries across the country and you sit for hours with monsters, and you have to make them like you. You nod, you don't flinch. When he describes what he did to a 19-year-old girl in 1986, you keep your face flat and you ask a follow-up question. You do this 36 times over 2 years. 36 of the worst men in America, and each one hands you a key. It's a phrase, a ritual, a tell. You're building the map that lets you predict the next one. But you come home different. You stop sleeping. Your wife says you look at her sometimes like you're profiling her. You promise her it's nothing. You're lying. Because you've learned that the line between hunting a monster and understanding one is thinner than anybody admits. Real quick, if you're finding this as disturbing as it is fascinating, you're exactly the kind of person this channel is built for. I'm Calvin, and this whole channel exists to take you inside the darkest, strangest corners of human history. The cases, the careers, and the minds most people never get to understand. If that's your thing, hit subscribe. because we go this deep every single week. Now, back into the basement. Rank 6, the Hunter. You're 37 and now they're active. This is the difference that changes everything. Up to now, the killing already happened. You arrived after, but this case is live. He's taken 4 women in 90 days and the clock between kills is shrinking. 40 days, then 28, then 19. He's accelerating. That means he's losing control. And a killer losing control is about to either get sloppy or get worse. You move into a motel near the crime scenes. You stop going home. You build a wall of 200 photographs and you live inside his mind 16 hours a day. You eat where he'd eat. You drive the routes he'd drive. You start to feel when he'll strike. And you tell the task force the next attack will come on a weekday, near water, within 5 miles of the last one. 3 days later, a patrol car spots a man near a lake at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. They stop him for a broken taillight. There's duct tape and zip ties in his trunk. You just saved a life you'll never know the name of, and it's the best you'll ever feel. It won't last. Rank 7, the Linkage. You're 40, and you found something nobody else can see. A murder in Oklahoma, another in Arkansas, a third in Texas, 3 different states, 3 different methods, 3 different police departments who have never spoken to each other. Everyone thinks they're separate. You think they're the same man. This is your gift now, linkage analysis. You see the signature underneath the surface. Not what he does, but what he needs to do. The thing he can't stop himself from leaving behind. You connect 9 murders across 4 states that no computer flagged? Because the pattern wasn't in the evidence. It was in the intention. You're 40 years old and you've become the best in the country at one terrible thing. Seeing the human being inside the horror. The Bureau notices they're saving you for the case that's haunted them for 30 years, the one no profiler has ever cracked, the one with a name. Rank 8, the Architect. You're 43 and they put you in charge. A task force of 200 people, federal, state, local. Your case file is 3 feet thick and 30 years old. The killer has murdered at least 10 people and then silence. He went quiet for decades. And just when everyone assumed he was dead, he started writing letters again, taunting them, daring them, calling himself a name. BTK. Bind? Torture? Kill. You've studied him your whole career. You know his vanity is total. You know he needs the attention more than he needs to stay hidden. So you do something no profiler has done before. Instead of hunting him, you talk to him. Through the media, you tell him the police can't trace a computer disk. You know it's a lie. You're betting your entire reputation that his ego is bigger than his caution. You wait, and then in February 2005, a floppy disk arrives in the mail. Rank 9, the final boss. The disk has metadata on it. Deleted, invisible to him, but not to you. One word recovered from the data, a first name. Dennis, and one more, the address of a church. You drive to Christ Lutheran Church in Wichita, Kansas. The president of the congregation is a 59-year-old city compliance officer. Married, 2 kids, a Cub Scout leader, a man who for 31 years sat in that church on Sunday and hunted human beings the rest of the week. Dennis Rader, BTK. The man who murdered 10 people and got away with it for 3 decades, undone by a single deleted file and a profiler who understood that his pride would always, always win. You sit across from him in the interrogation room. The same flat face, the same follow-up questions. He talks for hours, he's proud. And as you listen, you realize the most terrifying thing of all. He is completely, perfectly ordinary. There was never a monster you could see coming. There was only a man, and the patterns he couldn't stop leaving behind. Rank 10, the Ghost. You're 54 now. You've retired. On paper, you won. You closed 30 cases that everyone else gave up on. You put away men whose names became documentaries. You saved more lives than you'll ever be able to count because the ones you saved never knew they were in danger. But you don't sleep more than 4 hours a night. You see the photographs when you close your eyes. Not the killers' faces, the victims, all of them, every name. You can recite them in order. Your marriage didn't survive the basement. Your kids learned not to ask about work. You spent 30 years climbing into the darkest mines in America so that other people could stay in the light. And the price was that a part of you stayed down there in the basement, 60 feet underground, and never came back up. You won. You're one of the greatest profilers who ever lived. And every single night the dead come to visit, to say thank you, and to remind you what it cost. That's the job. That was always the job. Want more dark history and true crime breakdowns like this one? We've got plenty more where this came from. See you in the next one.